Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. The nation gripping for two winter weather events as Arctic air dives into the northern plains. We have some snow tonight, a chance for some ice and snow. We'll go over the forecast for the next 3 days. And two systems impact areas from the Central Plains to Chicago and the Mid-Atlantic states coming up right now. First, we're going to get started with a quick look at that radar. We do have some wild weather working its way through the Central Plains as we head into the evening hours tonight. And here is a look at what's going on across the nation as we start with a look at the watches, warnings, and advisories. We'll go ahead and pause the forecast that's behind us and focus on the blue up north. That is the cold air potential there. Cold weather warnings for Montana, North Dakota, and northwest parts of Minnesota. The light blue counties is a cold weather alert. Winter storm warning from portions of central Nebraska and winter storm watches all the way up into Chicago and central parts of the mitten of Michigan. And we have wintry weather heading its way towards the D.C. area, the nation's capital, talking about the Virginias, Maryland, as well as the mid-Atlantic taking place, and extremely cold air working its way towards, well, the West Coast, as we do have a freeze warning in place from Fresno through Sacramento and Chico in California. So that's a look across the nation. Let's talk about the storm systems forecast and track as we go through the next couple of days across the nation. First and foremost, the cold air diving into the northern plains has really shifted the storm track to the south. Storms are making their way out of the Pacific Ocean, will work their way to the central Rockies and right through the central southern plains and into the Great Lakes region and northeastern United States. So the storm track definitely much more active from the central Rockies right into the East Coast as we go through the next couple of days. Now, here is a look at the European model. We're going to focus on the next 3 days. And in doing so, what we're going to take a look at is our chance for wintry weather and thunderstorms. It could be indeed severe. Here we go as we head into your Tuesday. And it's going to be untoasty up north. This high is a cold air mass making its way into the northern plains. As it shifts south, we have a low pressure center working its way through the Gulf Coast states. Showers and thunderstorms in the morning could be strong and even severe as we head into the afternoon hours, particularly in the Gulf Coast states, central parts of Alabama, Mississippi. And it does look like we will have a chance for some heavy snow and icing working its way right into places near Jersey, well, down south and southeastern parts of the United States, northern parts of Virginia, as well as West Virginia as we head into the evening. You see the pinks there, that is some icing potential. The main core of that low shifts off into the mid-Atlantic states while the next round makes its way into the central Rockies. That'll be the second round. And this is a stop of action here in the overnight hours of your Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Here you go, Wednesday morning, round 2 starts to develop, and look at Kansas. Moderate to heavy amounts of snow taking place there. The isobars close together means a lot of change in pressure, and that puts the air in a mighty hurry. Gusty winds from the east and northeast will drive wind-driven snow across parts of Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, right up into Kirksville, Missouri, Springfield, Illinois, as well as Des Moines in Iowa. Duluth, Minnesota, well, you're free from this activity. Now, look at the showers and thunderstorms. This will be the best chance for some severe weather as we go into your Wednesday afternoon and evening with low pressure moving through, Gulf moisture in place, and a warm front setting up shop here in parts of the southeastern United States with a trailing cold front. Ideal for a few thunderstorms that could have some spin in the atmosphere that could deliver a chance for tornadic activity in the southeastern United States. Meanwhile, an ice potential in the Ohio River Valley, Illinois, Indiana, on up into northern parts of Ohio. Very heavy bands of snow with snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, very near the band of icing there as that blossoms as it hits up into the Great Lakes region. The isobars show that the wind with this storm system, as it intensifies, will be quite strong. Gusty south winds ahead of the storm on the east side, but on the west side over here, we're talking about very gusty, cold north winds. This is where Chicago, Fort Wayne, Detroit, all the way through Toledo and up into the Great Lakes area, you're going to see a band of very heavy snow. Look at that. Toronto, look out. And as you go up into Buffalo, New York, and upstate New York on into Maine, very heavy snow with icing on the south side of the system. Still thunderstorms into your very early hours of Thursday morning. Look at the mountains of California getting in the mix with yet another system making its way in for your area on Thursday. So that's the next 3 days. Now let's take a look at the potential for icing across the United States. And let me go ahead and take a look at the first 24 hours with round one of the storm so we can break this puppy up for you here as we take a look at the icing potential. Now, this is where the icing is most likely as we go through the next 24 hours. And notice this, as we go into North Carolina as well as Virginia, that area here is where we're going to see that best chance for some significant icing. Johnson City, north into the Bluefield area, and Beckley and Mount Ayr also having a chance at seeing some of this activity. Some of the icing could be significant as we go in just a little bit closer. You'll see here Marion and places along the I-81 corridor there, Atkins, as well as Saltville, seeing that chance for some significant icing according to the National Weather Service. So there is that chance for icing off to the west of Roanoke. That's the first 24 hours. Remember, at the end of the 24-hour period, the next wave of wintry activity will be exiting out of the Rockies. Notice that there will be some Fort Smith, Arkansas icing taking place. Now, as we go into the 48-hour period, as we get into your Wednesday, here's a look at that. Now, as we take a look, we're going to see the chance of some icing, parts of Kansas, central and southern Missouri, from Springfield right into areas south of St. Louis, near Cape Girardeau and the Boot Hill, mainly to the north. This could be sneaking its way off across into parts of Kentucky as well. Notice what goes on over Hutch's shoulder here, and that is an increase in icing that was taking place with round one. Same place. Roanoke right into Johnson City. So the chance of icing will spread north and eastward right into Richmond out there as we take a look at, well, look at some of these rainfall amounts in millimeters now. This is freezing rain and ice. This is upwards of 1/2 of an inch of icing potential, which could cause concerns for things like power outages as the ice weighs down power lines and trees, and those can fall on power lines and your homes as well. So be prepared for the potential for some significant icing in these areas. That's a look at icing. Now, what about snow, you say? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, the snowfall potential with the storm system starting out in the first 24 hours as we back this thing up. Again, this is round one. What's going on right now in Iowa? We're going to see a potential there for some significant amounts of snow, mainly north of Des Moines as you head on up into, say, the Sioux City area to Mason City, and we're talking about 1 to 2 inches of snow. That's probably already been happening as I've taken a look at some cameras on area roads across Sioux Falls, parts of southeastern South Dakota, as well as southernmost Minnesota on the I-90 corridor there. So that's snow shower activity ongoing now. That moves its way off tonight now as we take a look at this from Louisville through Charleston on the north side of the icing potential, which is right here. We could have a band of some significant snowfall. We're talking 1 to 5 inches across this area. And again, terrain impacts will impact exactly where the heaviest bands of snow will set up. Charlottesville on up into the Baltimore area. As you get into Salisbury out here in Maryland, we're going to see a chance for some accumulating snow. Baltimore on the outskirts of the snow accumulation. As we get into Philly, it looks like we don't care if there's snow, because you're Super Bowl champions. Congratulations. Okay, now what happens with round two? Check this out. Now, things will just be getting started in the mountains of Colorado. We're talking up north of Denver, say Fort Collins, and up into that Cheyenne, Wyoming area. And look at the plains of Nebraska as you look near the panhandle there, not far and south of Scotts Bluff. Here we go into the 48-hour time frame now for snowfall potential. And it looks like we'll have some significant, well, let's see. Here we go. Double click and let's see if I can get this. There it goes. 48 hours worth of snowfall. Things really blossom. Look at the eastern plains of Colorado, the high terrain. We'll have that upslope flow as I was talking about, low pressure setting up here, forcing moist air from the Gulf of Mexico into the elevated terrain of the Rocky Mountains. Let's check in on some of the snowfall amounts and you'll see heavier elevated and enhanced amounts in the mountains just upwind from the areas near Denver, west of Denver. We're talking Boulder, Colorado, and the Iron Range, Longmont, Georgetown, all the way up into areas near Boulder. So Estes Park, Grand Lake, and Fraser getting some Rocky Mountain snow taking place out there. How much? Well, it could be upwards of 6 inches or even more. Of course, terrain impacts will impact that as well. All the way up the I-70 corridor, Vail, you're going to see a chance for some snowflakes out there on those regions now, west of Colorado City, as well as you folks in Pueblo and Canyon City, as well as Colorado Springs. Notice there's a little hole in the snowfall out towards Buena Vista and Salida. But as you get into the well, let's take a look in here just a little bit closer. Near Canyon City out here, we're talking about snowfall amounts here that could be a good foot of snow with that upslope effect. Down in the Sangre de Cristos, we're seeing a chance for some snow there as well. Burlington and on the eastern plains. 3 to 6 inches of wind-driven snow as this system makes its way through. Now, let's take a look in the 72-hour period as this storm system works its way out of the Rockies. Does it add even more? And the answer is As the storm system works its way up towards Chicago, there's going to be that narrow, heavy band of snow potential along its track as it moves north and eastward. So we're talking about most of the northern one half of Kansas seeing 4 or more inches of snow, with some pockets along these Colorado lows equating to nearly 1 foot of snow. I feel strongly along that I-70 corridor that we're going to see a chance of nearly that much. Omaha, you are in the track of some heavy snow, as is southeast Nebraska, northeast parts of Missouri there near Maryville, and Kirksville. Also seeing that chance for some significant snow. Des Moines, you're in the track, but look at Chicago. You get up north into Wisconsin and Milwaukee. How much snow is that showing? Well, that's yellow snow, and I don't like yellow snow. I don't know about you, but if we take a look at the amounts that the yellow means, we're talking about 4 to 8 inches of snow. Kenosha, Chicago, and points north of the metro area, they're seeing a better chance at some increased snow amounts. Rapidly falling off as we get into Indiana, central and southern. And then this was from round 1, mind you. The storm system that will be round 2 will move from Colorado, as we saw, right up into Milwaukee, Saginaw. So if you're in the mitten of Michigan and in Saginaw, if you are in Portage, if you are in Grand Rapids, if you are in Jackson or Flint, Lansing, Detroit, these areas have a chance at 4 or more inches of snow with an enhanced amount expected as we get up into the northern one half of the state, say north of 96. So that is a look at the wintry weather across the nation. But what about the cold that takes hold? It's going to be pretty severe as we look at the northern plains. I forecast often for the northern plains here in North Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, and South Dakota, and take a look at some of these temperatures as we go through the overnight tonight on this Monday night and into Tuesday morning. It's redonky-donk here. This is Tuesday morning air temperatures. We're talking in Fargo, 19 below zero. How about Minneapolis, St. Paul? We'll be in the teens below zero there. Babe the Blue Ox in Bemidji, 16 degrees below zero as we head into the evening hours. Look at Minot, 22 degrees. And if you're heading to Beach, North Dakota right here, you might want to bring an extra thick beach towel at 24 below. Now factor in the winds that we'll have, upwards of 20 miles per hour in the morning. Wind chills 37 to 50 below in parts of eastern Montana. Glendive, Montana, there on I-94, 46 below for a wind chill. And if you have any questions at all, throw a comment down. Let me know where you're at, what kind of weather you are expecting. Do you like this winter weather? Thanks, Rita, for watching. Thanks for sharing with stars on my Facebook page there. Christy, good to have you. Kristen, good to have you. Brenda, good to have you. Kathy, great to have you. Dan, thank you so much for the stars sent. And Kyle and Nathan, thanks for watching. Now, if you're watching on my stream on the YouTube channel right now and the national picture, oh my goodness, we've got Deb, thank you. Northern Aurora, Illinois, please. Thank you. Let's take a look at that as we did take a kind of peek around in Illinois, and Aurora is not going to be excluded from the winter event that we just talked about there. It does look like the farther south you get, though, the lower the impacts of snow will be. So even the southern suburbs of Chicago, as we'll go in here one more time, why not? Tomorrow's highs in the northern plains. High temperatures, 0 to 10 below zero for most in North Dakota and throughout the state of Minnesota. Now back to your question, Deborah. Thanks for asking, Deb. Good to have you on. Good Northern Grace to see you, as well as hello, random person. Hey, random person. How much snow are we expecting in Danville, Kentucky? Let's get right to it. First and foremost, Danville, Kentucky will have the best chance of snow in the first round that's coming in the next 24 hours by your Tuesday night and into early Wednesday morning. Now, as we look at Aurora, Illinois, we're expecting that to be the second storm that happens Tuesday and into your Wednesday night. So let's get back to it real quickly, answer these questions, and we'll be on our merry way here as we get prepared for a bone-chilling slap in the face coming from the north. Now, here as we go in, let's take a look at the snowfall potential. Let's get down to Illinois here. So as you get down towards Chicago, Peoria, Dixon, and get down into the suburbs, there's your Aurora. You are on basically here, the western side of the metro, and it does look like you're right in track. So this storm is going to be passing its way through. A shift in the track of the storm will heavily dictate a shift in how and where the heaviest band of snow will be. Make no mistake about it, this storm is coming with a lot of wind as well. There is a potential for some reduced visibility and dangerous travel via air and or surface travel. So keep that in mind if you have any travel at all through Kansas City, through Chicago, through, Minneapolis should be okay, but impacts when we're talking about airports like Chicago and Denver could be felt nationwide. So check your local listings, as we like to say, with regards to your reports of whether or not your flight is on time. Northern Grace, oofta is definitely a term we use here in the Northern Plains. Now let's get off into Virginia and take a look at the snow. I'm looking for, Danville, Kentucky. My apologies, I said Virginia. Now let's go to Kentucky. Here we go. Let's see. If you look at Kentucky closely here, the northern half of the state's looking like there's going to be, with the first round now, some measurable snow as we go through. So from Louisville to Charleston and Lexington, a fair amount of snow. We're talking 1 to 4 inches. Moorhead, hey, there's a Moorhead, Minnesota, but Moorhead, Kentucky, you're right in the middle of the track of the storm. But we're expecting 2 to 4 inches. Pretty good bet. As you get up on the upper half of that, 4 to 5 inches might not be out of the question. And you get up into places like Pikeville and Huntington, Charleston, these areas also in the track of some heavier snow there. So that is a look. Now, if you get down in the southern reaches of Kentucky, Bowling Green, now you're going to be on more of that potential that we talked about on the first slide, and that was your icing potential. So keep in mind that travel, there's going to be a narrow band here that gets both ice and then it's going to get covered by some snow potential as well. So as we take a look, there it is in the southern reaches of Kentucky, particularly on the eastern reaches, a better chance of some icing in the first 24 hours. And here's the next 24 hours going out 48 hours. Really expansive amounts of ice from Johnson City all the way up to Roanoke as we go through. That's a look at your weather. Looking at one more shot of questions just to see. But again, I really do appreciate all of you who hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on my Facebook page, hey, thank you so much for stepping up and hitting the follow button. By doing these things and subscribing on YouTube, or by hitting the follow button on my YouTube channel, more people are served up Hutch's forecasts. I am a meteorologist with 30 years on-air broadcasting experience. Recently, I've decided to try streaming, and it's been fun. I also have taught in the classroom for the better part of 20 years and did some research meteorology with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So it's fun to talk to you about the weather. I appreciate all of you for watching, but for now, brace for winter weather and the cold that takes hold as we take a look real quickly at that as we wrap up. How far south will this cold nonsense go, and what are we looking at? Let's take a look. European model. Here we go. As we take a look at the European model, and I switch over to the temperature page here, I want you to keep in mind we're only going to worry about the first week or so of weather. The purple colors you see here, sub-zero. The blue line is the freezing line. So you can get a feel for where the freezing air will be making its way as we move through. So with round one, as we go into Tuesday, freezing air stays up to the north of, say, north of Arkansas. So we'll have some cool air down in the deep south, but not as cool, and you'll rebound fairly quickly as the next low pressure system on Wednesday exits Colorado. South winds are going to scoop this warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico up, and it's going to lob it right back up and lace the atmosphere for a risk of severe weather in the southern plains, particularly the Gulf Coast states, and that's going to be the source for moisture for ridiculous amounts of ice and snow in the Ohio River Valley, the Mississippi River Valley, and over here in the high plains, we're going to see in the central plains as well some significant snow as this Wednesday system works its way through. The cold air will stick around after the snow system works its way through, and it does look like we'll get another burp of nasty Arctic nonsense into the deep south, the northern reaches of the Gulf Coast states as we head into the weekend ahead. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thanks for watching. You can find me at these fine locations, hutchesweather.com. Give it a visit. Let me know what you think. Follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, but more importantly, enjoy your snow.